Your Honor, honorable jury, we have gathered in this courtroom to bring to justice a famous man, a king. The accused one is the king, Henry VIII, who is notorious for his cruelty and mistreatment of wives. Within the time of reign, the defendant has had 6 wives. 6 wives who all had different faith. Most of them were rejected soon after the marriage as useless. And that is not all. As we know, the king has committed several crimes against his obedient wives. Firstly, the court case reveals that the defendant, Henry VIII, has behaved dishonestly with 2 of his wives, Catherine of Aragon and Anne de Cleves, whom he divorced using his power and superiority. Moreover, the king sent his divorced and dishonored wives to live into old, gloomy, moist, decaying castles where their health condition got worse, soon causing their premature death. I accuse the king of causing premature death to 2 women. Secondly, it is the well-known fact that Henry just cold-bloodedly executed his 2 young wives. The king's second wife, Lady Anne Boleyn, became the first innocent victim, and a few years later, Catherine Howard became the second victim of the jealous, aging king. There was nothing that could have helped these 2 young, innocent women to avoid their sad fate, for the king's investigators belonged to the court, and they just wanted to get rid of the uncomfortable women. I accuse the king of a murder of 2 young, innocent women. Thirdly, the king misused the young girls' trust to him and made them to give birth to the royal babies in the aim of receiving a male heir. In the same time, he did not reveal the fact that he had syphilis. Instead of telling the truth, the king used his position to get a son whom he had wanted for so long time. Consequently, a human life did not cost anything in the eyes of a king, a great king. Also, as one may suspect, he did not care much of Jane Seymour, for she died shortly after the childbirth. Jane gave him finally the desired son, but died because of inconsideration, lack of attention, and good care. I accuse the king of causing premature death because of inconsideration, indifference, and selfishness. Honorable jury, I deeply trust in you and believe that you pass a fair verdict on the defendant. I have called 5 witnesses to testify in the court hearing. Hereby I, the prosecutor, turn to the court and give the trial in your hands. Thank you.
I give the floor to the defense lawyer.
Thank you. Your Honor, honorable jury, who is a king? Isn't he just a human being, as we all are? We all make mistakes. So do the kings. To look back, Henry VIII was a victim of his time and the consequences resulting from his pressing situation. He felt responsibility for the future of England. The pressures of his daily life were very different of that of ours. All eyes were watching him since early morning till late night. He couldn't even think a single thought alone. He didn't know what was privacy. Wasn't the situation frustrating? Henry VIII came from the Tudor dynasty, who won the War of Roses. The Red Tudor Rose won. Henry is the son of a great man. History still remembers his father's conquests and political achievements. Henry Tudor was a powerful man. So, how could Henry VIII, his son, be weaker? When married with Catherine of Aragon, the king saw with frustration that there will be no male heir. Catherine was older than the king, and it became clear that she is not able to conceive anymore. It is true that Catherine's daughter Mary survived, but all the other babies died or were miscarried. The king could not help to feel that something must be done to save the throne for the Tudor line.
Objection! Well, what about Mary? The king had an heir already. A female creature was not worth to be considered as a ruler. This is a sexist attitude.
Rejected. Peace in court. The defense may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Honorable jury, Henry VIII came from the culture in which women had other kind of duties. They had to born children, and therefore could not rule the country so well as men could. Henry knew that his court and his country expects of him to produce a prince. He was obliged to take care of the future of his country, and he tried to do it as well as he could.
By marrying 6 young girls, by ruining their lives, what a selfishness!
I demand peace in the courtroom.
Thank you, Your Honor. Henry had to find the way out. He was the king. And actually, he did not do any harm to his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. Henry just divorced her and even gave her a castle in the countryside. Henry VIII was a generous person after all. Still, the battle between Catherine and Henry lasted for 8 long years, for she did not agree to annul their marriage. The king even rejected the Roman Catholic faith to free his country from the dictate of the Roman Catholic Church. It was a risky act to consider the importance of the religion in the European politics. Anyway, we have to keep in our minds that Henry thought about the future of his country. Surely he treated Catherine with respect.
By taking off the title of queen from her, by separating her from her daughter forever, by imprisoning her in gloomy decaying castle.
Prosecutor, I'm forced to remove you from the courtroom if you cannot hold yourself back.
Sorry.
For Catherine's daughter, it was better to receive education in her father's court. The king acted as a caring father. The same is in case of Anne of Cleves, Henry's 4th wife, who agreed to annul their marriage. She received a castle and some more property, so she did not suffer. She even received the honorable title of the king's sister. Concerning the charges of murder, it is clear that the king did not murder his 2nd wife, Anne Boleyn, and his 4th wife, Catherine Howard. These women put the good name of the queen in danger by flirting and being unfaithful to the aging king. Honorable jury, if you think about it, which king can afford to be laughed at? It was out of the question. The king could not let them to behave like this. And actually, he tried to be kind to Anne Boleyn before her execution. He ordered a totally new axe for the case.
What a lucky woman to be headed with a brand new axe.
Peace in the courtroom. The defense may proceed.
Your Honor, Judge, here is the evidence. In case of Jane Seymour, I can say only one thing. Henry loved her and trusted her. She was the only woman of the six who was finally buried next to Henry. She was important to the king as a mother of the Prince Edward. The fact is that the king was not insensitive to Jane, just the opposite. Before the birth of the prince, the king was said to have looked even too much after Jane's every step. Thus, I overturned the charges of causing premature death because of indifference. I overturned the charges of murder. Thank you.
The court hearing is proceeded by hearing out of the witnesses. Prosecutor, you are allowed to call in the first witness.
I call to testify Catherine of Aragon, the first wife of Henry VIII.
Please swear on Bible that you are speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. I swear that I am speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
Catherine, is it true that you were deprived of the title of Queen and offered the title of Princess after the annulment of your marriage to Henry?
Yes, this is true.
Why did you reject the title of Princess?
I did it because it offended my honor. I have been the real and only lawful queen and nobody else. I married Henry in good faith and I gave him an heir. I was faithful to my king, but he rejected me after all these years. He caused me moral damage and damaged my health. I died in sorrow, in the abandoned, gloomy castle. I could not even meet my only child, Mary.
Your Honor, I have a question to the witness.
Accepted.
You said that you married Henry in good faith, but you were married to Henry's older brother before. You married Henry soon after Arthur's premature death. Wasn't it too soon? Can we believe that your feelings were sincere, or you just wanted to become a queen as soon as possible? I suspect that you just used Henry, since you knew that he would be the next king.
Objection.
Rejected. Witness, please answer the question.
No, the marriage did not take place too soon. I was not guilty in Arthur's death. I had been in the family a long time enough to get to know Henry. Actually, he was the one who married me as the first thing right after his father's death. We were in love.
But King was still too young for you. You must have realized that. You just flirted with him to make him marry you.
It is not true. I was brought up in Catholic faith. I was taught to be obedient, honest, and faithful. Just the opposite. Henry flirted with me all the time, even if he was just a young man.
Your Honor, may I have a question to the witness?
Accepted.
Is it true that you have had 3 miscarriages and 2 babies died soon after they were born?
Yes, this is true. I have been extremely frustrated ever since. I had a wish to give the king a male heir, but as you can see, I failed to do so. Still, our daughter Mary survived. I gave him an heir, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Do you confirm the fact that you were deprived of the opportunity to see your daughter after you were sent to the monastery?
Yes. I could not meet my daughter, for the king was afraid that I could influence the child somehow. I could only write to her, but the letters were read through by the king, so we could not have any privacy at all.
Thank you. I have no further questions to the witness.
Your Honor, I have a question to the witness.
Accepted.
The Henry did not treat you badly after the divorce. Did you have enough food and clothes? Did you have servants?
Yes, I had food and clothes, and just one servant. The king came to a castle to live in, but he broke my heart by sending me away after all these years I spent next to him. I did not deserve to be treated like that. This was a great shame and caused heartache. Honourable jury, do you understand my position? I was ashamed, alone, and abandoned. I was an honourable queen and suddenly cast out from the royal court. It broke my heart.
I have no further questions to the witness.
The witness may leave.
Honourable court, I would like to call in the second witness in this trial, Anne Boleyn, the lady in waiting of Catherine of Howard.
The second witness is allowed to testify.
Please swear by that I am speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. I swear that I am speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
Is it true that the king wanted you to be his lover when he was still married to Henry?
Yes, the king tried to make me his mistress during 8 years. Even my own sister, who was also lady-in-waiting, was Henry's mistress. I did not agree with it, even if I fell in love with the king. I wanted to become his queen, or nothing. I consider myself an educated lady with dignified manners, and the state of mistress did not satisfy my moral norms.
When your enemies in the royal court began to conspire against you, did the king let you investigate the matter? Was the verdict fair?
No, the king wanted to believe the plot, for he had put his eyes on Jane Seymour, who was also lady-in-waiting of Catherine of Aragon. And to make a face that the king really believed the absurd charges against me and my brother was the quickest way to get rid of me, so that he could marry Jane Seymour. The verdict was not fair at all. We were accused of incest. I and my brother were totally innocent. We had never had any other intimate contact beside that of brothers and sisters. It was absurd, but it gave the king the opportunity to get a new wife, as you all see. He married Jane. After 2 weeks, he had executed me.
Thank you. I have no further questions to the witness.
Your Honor, I have some questions to the witness.
The court gives you the right to ask the questions.
Do you think that it was fair to the Queen that you, as her lady-in-waiting, flirted and tempted the king? Do you think it was moral, or did your so-called French upbringing morality?
No, this is not true. I had to wait 8 years until the king asked me to marry him. Still, he married me secretly, because I became pregnant.
I have the evidence that the king was very much in love with you. It was well-known fact that the king hated writing letters, and he always used the help of his secretary. But he wrote letters to you. Please, where are the evidence? Thank you. Your Honor, I have the evidence. He did not misuse you, just the opposite. He was very much in love with you and wanted to marry you as soon as possible. He even wrote you 17 love letters. Honorable jury, I hope you see what that means. Henry was very keen of Anne Boleyn. Now, Lady Anne, you said here in the courtroom that you wanted to become a queen or nothing. Do you confess that you tempted the king until he finally did what you wanted?
Objection. This question is offensive.
Rejected. Witness, please answer the question.
Like I already said, this is not true. I had to wait 8 years until the king asked me to marry him. Still, he married me secretly, because I said I got pregnant, you know.
Yes, you're right. I have no further questions to the witness. Thank you.
The witness may leave.
Your Honor, I ask the permission to call in Lady Jane Seymour, the next witness in the trial.
The court allows you to call in the witness.
Please verify that you are speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. I'm speaking the truth and nothing but the truth, I swear.
Lady Jane Seymour, you were third lawfully married queen to the king. Did king mistreated you ever?
No, he has never done so. We were married because we loved each other. He took very good care of me. Before the prince was born, he was even too attentive. I was so tired people watching my every single movement. But I know he valued me because I was going to be the mother of his son.
You married the king 2 weeks after Anne Boleyn. Your queen was executed, and you were her lady-in-waiting. Wasn't it too soon?
No, actually, the queen was arrested a long time ago. She was kept in the tower. I just thought she was guilty and decided that the king deserved a better destiny. He needed an heir, and I decided to give it to him.
Your Honor, I have no further questions to the witness.
Your Honor, I have some questions for the witness.
Proceed.
Lady Jane Seymour. Thomas Seymour. May I ask? Thomas Seymour asked you to marry him just before the old king noticed you. Is it true? That's the one question. Right. Okay, let me ask you another one. You said that you were respected by the king. Why didn't the coronation take place then?
Objection! This question is unethical.
Objection rejected. Witness, please answer the question.
You see, the thing is that the king didn't want to hurry with the coronation before my baby was born.
You haven't. Nothing to say more. No? Okay. Is it true that Henry did not pay a lot of attention to you after the baby was born?
No, actually, he did not. You see, I was so weak, I wasn't even able to stand. I had to stay in bed all the time.
Did any doctor or specialist visit you?
No, but it is not very common thing to call a specialist. For all the things on earth, they were in the hands of God. I was weak and ill. I had to die.
Just like that? Did the king visit you in your room at least?
Yes, he did.
Well, not you. I have no further questions to the witness.
The witness may leave.
Honorable court, I ask the permission to call in the next witness in the trial, Anne of Cleves.
The witness is allowed to testify.
Please swear on my word that you are speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. I swear that I'm speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
Lady Anne of Cleves, you were the fourth wife of Henry. Your marriage was a match marriage, since it had political background. ground. The king needed badly the support of the Protestant countries, so he had to marry someone from the Low Countries. His cardinal suggested you or your sister. Is it true that the king chose you by a picture painted by his court artist? Do you confirm the fact that this was his voluntary choice and he preferred you to your sister?
Yes, the king's choice was totally independent, and he preferred me to my sister. The marriage took place some months later.
But after some time, the king changed his attitude towards you. He claimed that he was deceived by the beauty of your portrait when he first place chose you. Why did he suddenly discover that he does not find you attractive enough? You had been married for some time by then. How do you explain Henry's change of mind?
I assumed that I simply was not his taste. I was too silent and modest by my nature. I was brought up with totally different skills of that of courtly entertainment. I could all kinds of household works and knew how to be economical, but Henry expected me to play musical instruments and sing or cite poems for him. I was very different and didn't know how to do that. He became gloomier and moodier every day, and his health declined. He wanted me to cheer him up, but I was not that type of woman. I felt myself like a stranger in the English court and could not adjust my nature to their customs.
Was there another woman involved already? Why was Henry so busy to divorce you and send you away? Didn't he need any political support to marriage brought along?
Objection! The question is unethical and unfair.
Rejected. Witness, please answer the question.
They call it fair.
Peace in the courtroom. The defense lawyer has to control his emotions.
So was there another woman involved or not? Why the king wanted to get rid of you so soon? Did he apply pressure on you? Wait, let me put it straight. Did he threaten you if you didn't? Just divorce her.
Actually, I didn't know so much about the life in royal court. I guess there was no other woman involved yet. The king didn't threaten me openly, but he was in a bad mood, and I thought it better not to argue with him. Besides, he gave me enough property, a castle to live in, and he also gave me the honorable title of the king's sister. I considered it very unwise to turn it down in the circumstances.
No wonder if you think of the tragic destiny of the other wives who had courage to argue with His Majesty. But doesn't it seem a bit perverse to you to become from the lawfully married wife of the king suddenly his sister? You claim that you and Henry divorced because the marriage had not been confirmed. Do you want to make us believe that you and Henry did not have any intercourse during the entire marriage?
Objection! This question is offensive and does not concern the matter.
Accepted.
In this case, I have no further questions of witness.
Your Honor, I have some questions to the witness.
Please proceed.
Lady Anne, did the king give you enough land and property to make up for the moral harm? Didn't he send you gifts and money every year?
Yes, the king was generous to me, but the only thing that bothered me, I couldn't marry anymore, since it was still a serious political scandal, and my good name was damaged.
Your Honor, I have no further questions to the witness.
The witness may leave.
Your Honor, I ask for permission to call in the next witness in the trial, Catherine Howard.
The witness may testify.
Please swear on Bible that you are speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
I swear that I am speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
Lady Catherine Howard, is it true that you were just a young girl when you married the aging king?
Yes, it was true. I was just 19, and I enjoyed life, singing, and happy people around me. I succeeded to make even the king happy, so that he could forget about his archerated leg. which was aching most of the time. Before our marriage, he was gloomy, but during our marriage, he cheered up. Finally, he was a quite amusing man.
But anyway, he led to investigate the rumors about your infidelity. Didn't he mistreat you by marrying you at this young age?
Objection! This young lady knew very well whom she was married to.
Sustained.
Then I have no further questions to the witness. If Your Honor finds her to be too young to express her own opinion.
Prosecutor, keep your personal feelings out of the courtroom.
Your Honor, I have some questions to the witness.
Please proceed.
Lady Catherine, do you confirm that the king was extremely generous towards you? He just simply threw money on you and bought every single thing that you pointed at. Are you aware how much money did he spend on you? Do you think it was fair to use the old man's feelings towards you?
I haven't thought about the value of the gifts. The king himself wanted to give those gifts. He enjoyed seeing me in new dresses and with expensive jewelry. I gave him my youth and joy from my side.
Was it true that you didn't hesitate to keep openly lovers in your private rooms? What did you think about the honorable name of the Queen?
I felt sometimes really bored and sad. And there were so many nice and lively young men in the king's court. I just couldn't resist spending some time with them. The king was often tired and sickly, you see. But at times I felt myself treated like a doll by Henry. Still, I wanted to live and laugh.
So, most of all, you wanted to become a queen of a powerful country, to get rich and famous. The money and the position tempted you.
Sorry, but I don't understand the meaning of your question.
Well, I have forgotten that you weren't so brainy after all.
Objection! This comment is insulting to witness.
I have no more questions.
Peace in the courtroom.
Your Honor, I ask permission to call in the next witness in the trial, Lady Catherine Parr.
The witness is allowed to testify.
Please swear on Bible that you are speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
I swear that I'm speaking the truth and nothing but the truth.
Lady Catherine, do you confirm that the king was a good husband to you?
Yes, I do. Henry's health was getting quickly worse, but I succeeded to soften his mind. The king was really pleased with me. I read him in the evenings and tried to take good care of his children. I reunited the family and was a good mother to them.
There were no problems between you and Henry?
Not a single one. I was more like a nurse to him, and the whole family depended on me.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions to the witness.
Your Honor, I have some questions to the witness.
Please.
Is it true that Thomas Seymour asked you to marry him just before the old king noticed you?
Yes, he proposed to me.
You rejected his proposal and preferred the old king. Thomas Seymour was just a simple nobleman. He couldn't offer you the title of queen.
It is actually a very sensitive issue. You see, I was highly educated and with wide range of interests. So, mostly I took it as the opportunity to apply my knowledge.
Knowing his terrible character, you were simply afraid of turning down the king's proposal. Thank you. I have no further questions to the witness.
The witness may leave.
Your Honor, Honorable Jury, the last witness in this trial, I call to testify His Majesty, the King of England, Henry VIII.
The witness is allowed to testify.
Henry, history as a cruel and bloodthirsty man. Could you please explain us, why did you have to execute your wives? Wasn't there really any other way to settle the problem?
Honorable court, please try to see my problem. It is not easy to be a king. Everybody is watching you, criticizing your acts and decisions. By time, one can get more sensitive and have difficulties with misbehaving women who don't know how to keep the title of the queen in respect. I'm really deeply sorry. But I do not see any other solution this time. It was such a shame and scandal.
Do you confirm the fact that all of the wives were very young when you married them?
No, I was not the one who mistreated them. Just the opposite. They wanted to marry me. They were not so young at all. Anne Boleyn, for example, was over 30 when she married me. I was not guilty of their misconduct. I trusted them and married them in good faith that they give me a male heir. England expected a prince. I was expected to continue the Tudor dynasty. Do you really believe that all my life was easy? The king stands high. It is very easy to criticize a king.
But you had 2 living heirs already, young Mary and Elizabeth. They were your legal successors. Don't you consider them as human beings just because they were girls? Are you a sexist?
No, I'm not a sexist. Only God can see that I tried to take good care of their education. But then, many years ago, it was still considered better if the successor was a prince. Thanks God, Jane Seymour gave birth to Prince Edward. Sorry that she died.
So you are saying that your numerous marriages were due to the wish to have a male heir. But you had a male heir already. Why did you have to marry young girls afterwards? To get more male heirs?
I cannot deny that I liked young women. They were like rays of hope for a beam of sunlight in my life. Let's be honest. I needed some joy in life full of duties. Also, I have to confess that I still thought about more heirs to strengthen the Tudor dynasty. What can be more natural than to expect the king to produce royal heirs?
Do you realize that you have destroyed their lives by your selfishness?
But I have always been so generous towards them.
Yes, we all know how you have through the governmental money earned by thousands of peasants on the field on your numerous lovers.
Prosecutor, this fact doesn't have anything to do with the trial.
In this case, I have no further questions to His Majesty.
The court hearing is preceded by the closing argument by the prosecutor and the defense lawyer. I give the floor to the prosecutor. His Royal Highness may leave.
Your Honor, honorable members of the jury, my heart feels endless sadness. How could one miserable man bring along so much suffering? This is horrible. Henry VIII was a heartless careerist who didn't care much of human life. His new axe, especially ordered from France, was kept warm most of the time. Horrible. He was so concentrated to achieve his aims that he stepped on many hearts, and nobody knows how many lives he succeeded to ruin in reality. One is clear. Her daughters, their hearts were destroyed. If we look closely at the destinies of Mary and Elizabeth, they were disillusioned young women. Mary received the nickname of Bloody Mary during her reign, since she had to settle the accounts with the enemies of her her mother, Catherine of Aragon. The axe went up and down with horrifying speed. And Elizabeth never married to a single man, and also she didn't give birth to a single baby, not even one. She just couldn't trust anyone. The harm was done. Two ruined personalities produced by the so-called loving father, as it is revealed in the court. Henry VIII was not so loving and caring at all. He was a selfishly calculating man who turned the destinies of several women into mud. He was a great king, a great king. He had all rights to do as he pleased with human lives. No person with common sense can support such behavior. Honorable jury, I charge the king in mistreatment of wives and in 2 murders. I plead you to pass a fair verdict on this monster. Thank you.
I give the floor to a defense lawyer.
Your Honor, honorable jury, please, look at the king. Does he really look like a monster? Not as much as I can see. He has generous eyes and a friendly face. It has never been easy to be a great man. Henry has never hidden the fact that he is sorry that he had to do what he did. He ruled a huge country, not only England, but Wales and Ireland too. As I said, the pressures of his daily life were very different of that of ours. All eyes were watching him since early morning till late night. He didn't know what was privacy. Wasn't the situation frustrating? The king tried to secure stable and peaceful future for his people. And for that, he needed badly a male heir. He did not make his unpopular decisions with a slight heart. Honorable jury, I hope you see how his private life and his political situation shaped his behavior. His credo was to serve his country as well as he could. Henry bore in his mind only his country's needs. The good name of whole England was in danger. There was no other way for Henry than to save the respect towards him. Here is the king in front of us. He's just a man. He's a brave man who expects just a little respect towards him. Henry did not escape, but is looking straight in your eyes, honorable jury, with a hope, with a fair treatment. Thank you.
The final word belongs to the defendant. I give the floor to His Majesty, Henry VIII.
Your Honor, honorable members of jury, here I am in front of you, open-hearted. I have nothing to hide. I have lived my life as well as I could. I don't hide. I had to make really hard and unpleasant decisions in my life. Do you really think all my nights have been peaceful? Just the opposite. I haven't had a peaceful moment since I died. Because I saw my daughters making serious mistakes. I saw my only son, Edward, dying of the damned incurable disease I had given him. I was punished myself, having ulcerated wound that smelled so nastily that no one could stand close to me. I was a miserable, rotting man. There was no cure for me. And what was the worst thing for me to face? The Tudor dynasty, who I tried to save with all possible means. The dynasty ended with my family, and the disgusting, homosexual James of Scotland ascended the throne.
Who's better than you?
The little nasty self-admirer got the throne and reigned over the England. Scotland ruling England. No way! Nothing could hurt me more than that. All my dreams about prosperity and happy future of Tudor dynasty were given up just like that. Honorable jury, I hope you see, I have lived after my ideals. But all my decisions and efforts, however difficult and unpopular they were, became meaningless. Only a single thought about the consequences makes me to cover my face. But the disasters end. I'm a sinner, and I have received my cruelest ever punishment already. Everything I succeeded to create was destroyed. There is nothing left. That is my punishment. Thank you.
The jury is allowed to go and pass the judgment upon the defendant.
Now, how many minutes shall we give to the jury to pass the verdict? Would you please follow me? The court asks you to pronounce the verdict. So who will read? Turn towards the court. Come here.
Members of the jury pass the following verdict in the defendant. To acquit the accused King of Charles and release him for bail sum of £1 million for the good of Üle-Gymnasium of Pärnu, Estonia.
And that is it.
Yes.
Oi, Hilfer. Okay. So hereby I pronounce the case closed. Please be seated.
I have a question.